Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Bangladesh's chief advisor Mohammad-Yunus on the sidelines of the BIMSTEC summit. This was the first top-level meeting between India and Bangladesh since 8th August 2024. Yunus advisor Shafiqul Islam briefed the press and said a number of issues were discussed between both the premiers. These are the issues which the Bangladesh claim were discussed. He said Sheikh Hasina's deportation issue raised by Yunus. He also said water sharing between common rivers. And Prime Minister Modi raised the issue of attack on Hindus in Bangladesh, which has been confirmed to us. Foreign Secretary spoke on the issues that other, important developments have taken place. But let me straight away go to Ambassador Veena Sikri and subsequently to Suhas Chakma. Madam, the bigger question is, can this gentleman be trusted who recently went to Beijing and said that let Bangladesh be the extension of the Chinese economy? Today, this meeting has taken place after 8th August 2024. So what do we read of it?
I think one has to be very, very careful with Mohammad-Yunus. I must tell you that in the last week, our Prime Minister has sent a wonderful message on the occasion of Bangladesh National Day to Mohammad-Yunus, and he sent a wonderful Eid greetings. I don't think Mohammad-Yunus has replied to any of those messages. And this meeting was held in Bangkok today at the behest of Mohammad-Yunus. He was asking again and again and again about this meeting, and our Prime Minister met him, but our Prime Minister has read the Riot Act to Mohammad-Yunus. He has been very categoric with him. He has told him that we do not expect such rhetoric to be used, the language about the northeastern states, and as if pretending that Bangladesh controls them and asking China to extend its economy to India's northeastern states. Unbelievable. And also you mentioned about the attacks on the minorities, attacks on, and how this has been continuing. And he's also spoken, saying that we want a democratic Bangladesh. We want a Bangladesh which is democratic, stable, peaceful, prosperous and inclusive. And none of these five apply to Bangladesh of today. It is not democratic. This regime is not democratic. It is unconstitutional. They are refusing to organize elections. Mohammad Yunus spoke in the BIMSTEC summit saying that we are carrying out the mandated reforms. Who mandated them to do reforms? Nobody has mandated them. This is a self-created mandate. Actually, as an interim government, they should have just held elections within the first 3 months and left. But now they're talking of reforms and next 4 or 5 years when there is actually no constitutional provision for them to carry out reforms. And they cannot even be the caretaker government because they've got Islamist parties, non-neutral. It's a non-neutral government. So I think that all the things that our Prime Minister conveyed to him were very important, very relevant. And of course, again, Mohammad Yunus said that, yes, on Chinmoy Das, I'm going to look into it. But this is a promise he made to our Prime Minister way back in August, when our Prime Minister raised the issues of attacks on Hindus in August, on the 8th of August. Mohammad Yunus telephoned our Prime Minister and said, yes, I will give it the highest priority. It made not the slightest difference. The attacks continued and are continuing to this day. So again today, Mohammad Yunus said, I'll go and look into the case of Chinmoy Das. I do not expect any outcome of this. I think we are very worried because today there was even a more serious information coming in that in addition to what he said in China about the northeastern states, there is a contract which Bangladesh has awarded to China to build a modern Air Force base for the Bangladesh Air Force in Lal Munir Hat, which is near the Siliguri corridor. And Pakistan will implement this. So there will be Chinese money and Pakistan contractors over there, and they're going to be Chinese and Pakistanis at the Indian border. This is absolutely unacceptable. This is a red line that Bangladesh cannot cross under any circumstances. So I think that we have to be very careful on following up, on seeing what Yunus does, and I think we have to just push for early elections. That's it. Within the next 3 months, and we will deal with the elected government, whoever it is.
So what is the Indian leverage? I mean, so that's the question I'm asking. What is the Indian leverage here? We have a hostile government in cohorts with the people in Beijing. What is our leverage here?
Well, I mean, India has all the leverages. The only issue is whether India will use them. The moment you stop the border supplies from Indian side, this country will collapse. So India has so many options. It's just a question of India being, being a country.
But then you can't create a Nepal type situation where the anti-India feeling consolidates in Dhaka. I mean, so isn't that the bind, sir?
The question is, anti-India feeling is already there. This government survives on daily basis by spewing venoms against India. And if there are no anti-India campaigns in Bangladesh, they will not survive for a day. If you look at the students, if you look at the ministers, if you look at the statements of chief advisors, every time they basically have one agenda, that is anti-India, and their survival on a day-to-day basis depends on what kind of campaign they have against India. So I would say that this is not a government who could be trusted. He is not somebody who could be trusted. Let's remember one particular thing. He has come here with the agenda for reform to, continue the elections. Now reforms have been completed because all the recommendations have been given. Now he has formed a consensus commission so that he can continue with the discussion on the reforms, knowing fully well that he doesn't have the parliament or any mandate to implement these reforms. So these reforms are absolutely in a way meaningless. It can only be implemented by a parliament because it will require amendments of the laws, enactment of the, new constitution, whatever they want to do. So he is not even committed to democracy. So if you are not committed to democracy, obviously you are not being committed to any other things. He has one agenda. That agenda is to remain in power for the full term, because he is not acting as the interim advisor or interim government. He is acting as if he is a full-time prime minister elected by the people, negotiating, signing contracts with the foreign governments, and actually, in a way, putting booby traps on the next government. Now, for example, if there is an elected government, will that particular government have this kind of agreements with China? Not necessarily. So the fact that they have signed this agreement, or he has signed this agreement, he is making life difficult for the next government, whichever it is, it might be. So I think, we have to bear in mind, or the government of India should bear in mind, that he is not to be dealt with. So long he is not elected by the people of the country, he is not to be dealt with, because he is an interim prime minister, and his job is only to conduct the elections, nothing more, nothing less. And whatever he is doing, these are mere excuses just to remain in power.
But then, Madam, before I close this conversation, it's very clear his presence suits the Chinese interests. His presence suits the so-called even the deep state American interests, and it's completely antithetical to what India demands of the region, which is peace, stability, and more so neutrality. And I think that's where he's crossing the line, neutrality. How does one enforce that neutrality? If I get the gist of your argument in context of the airport, the red line.
Yeah. I think it's very clear this government cannot survive. It is a passing government. It is an interim regime. I think we should not give too much importance to this government and just see that it has to go. Because I think already in Bangladesh, there are more and more people who are against the government, who are unhappy with what is happening. The economy is completely in the doldrums. Of course, the Jamaat-e-Islami doesn't care about that, because they think the more poverty there is, the more they have control on the people. But the middle class, they are concerned, they are worried. The reaction I have seen even among the Bangladeshi diaspora about this particular meeting, I must say that the people are now very upset, more and more indicating how upset they are with Mohammad-Yunus. I thought it will be the other way around, but I'm surprised to see that they're openly expressing their concerns with Mohammad-Yunus, that he cannot remain the leader in Bangladesh. And we should not give him any credibility at all. Okay, Prime Minister has had this meeting with him. We've heard what he had to say, but I think from now on.
But the meeting has lent him some credibility, madam. He has met Prime Minister Modi. Could he have avoided this meeting? I just want to know from you. You have served in the area. Could this meeting be avoided?
Well, there was always two ways whether the meeting should take place or not take place. You are right, and there were as many people saying it should not take place, and many people saying it should. But I would see it in the light that all right, in a way, because Mohammad-Yunus was insisting so much on the meeting, you've given him the chance. You've laid all your cards on the table. You've spelled out your red lines, and now that's it. There's no more leeway for this government, because they're not a constitutional government, and we should remember that and not give him any more credibility by allowing him to stay on in power, because it is very clear that he has crossed every red line of India's security. The news about this Lalmuni Rahat Air Force Base came in only today. I don't even know if anybody knew about it beforehand, just as the news about the northeastern states came in, much later.
Absolutely.
After he came out. Yeah, on Tuesday, because his own press secretary put it on the Facebook. Just that little clip, it is so absolutely ridiculous that they want to incite this anti-Indianism to the ultimate degree, So I
Absolutely.
think that we have to be very careful on this
Absolutely.
always.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you both of you for joining me. I think the bottom line here is that this is the Indian challenge. You know, this is the Indian challenge. We have a hostile government in Bangladesh, and I hope a riot act was read to Mohammad Yunus, who is an Islamist and has taken a very anti-India position. So this is all on Point today. We will see you next week at the same time on Monday. Good night.